Today is a date of significance for our country. We remember and honor the lives that were lost on 9/11, 2001. Lord of mercy, Prince of peace, this date carries a heavy burden of memory. This day does not pass in our calendar without our remembering. We remember the images of death and destruction, images that human eyes were never meant to see. We remember words our ears were never meant to hear. We remember the tender words of men and women who would never see their loved ones ever again. And remember that three things will always remain: faith, hope, and love.
It is an honor to be here this morning and pay tribute to our heroes. As we reflect on the anniversary of September 11th, we pause to remember how precious life is and how precious our freedom is. Too often, we take both for granted and don't appreciate them until they are threatened. Today, as we remember those lost, let us also be paused and be grateful for our lives, our safety, and our freedom in honor of them. Thank you all.
It's hard not to think back to that day when we have a day like today, a beautiful blue sky, early fall kind of day, just like that morning 21 years ago. But I'm instantly reminded of how our community and our nation came together that day and in the weeks that followed, together in the face of tragedy. I spent that day, like many of you, glued to the television, watching the horror unfold along the East Coast, with our community's physical location between the three attack sites, making it feel all-consuming. My husband and I scrambled to check in on relatives in New York City and debated whether to pick up our school-aged children at school. The urge to connect with our friends and neighbors was strong, particularly as reports began to filter in about people who had been at or near the World Trade Center, neighbors who'd gone to work that day in New York City and were not yet accounted for. That evening, we attended an Interfaith Service that had been hastily arranged by community leaders. I will always cherish the way our community and our nation came together to support each other and those who lost loved ones in the attack. Every day, our first responders put on their uniforms and prepare for the unknown, and we've certainly seen over the past few years just how wonderful our first responders here are at home in Delaware County and how much of a difference they make to our community. They keep us safe, protecting us from dangers we may never know were lurking, and they spring to the rescue and provide care when disaster strikes. Today and every day, we honor you for your service to our country and our community. Thank you.
It's an honor to be here today as we take a moment to remember two things that 9/11 always brings home to me. One is that there really is evil lurking in this world, and two, that it takes heroes, everyday people, like the law enforcement community you see before you, the men and women of that community here in Delaware County, and our first responders community. It is people like that who answered the call on 9/11 and answered the call and will continue to answer the call every single day that they are needed. Thank you all for your service, and please give them a round of applause. And the last thing I would just want to end with is just a call to the young people. Congresswoman Scanlon mentioned the young people who are growing up, I guess, in the shadows of the fall of the Twin Towers. That generation needs to step up and join us in public service. It's a disturbing trend right now, but too many young people are not considering careers in public service. Every police chief in this county, every fire chief in this county, and across this Commonwealth are complaining about the same problem, the lamentable lack of candidates coming forward who want to serve. It's a huge problem right now for our national defense. We are on track to have one of the worst recruitment years in our country's recent history. Our Army right now is on track to meet only 66% of its recruitment goal for this calendar year, or this fiscal year, which ends in the end of September. I can guarantee you that our adversaries and enemies in Moscow and Beijing are taking note of that. So I want to just tell all the young people who might be hearing us, we need you. We need you to get in this fight. Public service is still the most honorable way to spend your lives. Even if you don't devote your entire career, just a portion of it, to making a difference in your community, you will be able to walk proud for the rest of your lives, just like all of these men and women who are here today. So I would urge you to put down your phones, get in shape, make a commitment, serve your country, and do what President Kennedy said to us that inspired my generation, which is to ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Join us in making this county and this country safer. Thank you.
Almost a quarter of a century later, we have repeated the stories of what we have done many, many times, to the point where we almost become characters in a drama that we observe, forgetting that we actually participated in that day. I will offer to you that doing that without coming here to reflect is a bit self-indulgent, and I thank all of you for coming here to make your expressions of support and of contemplation. As Barack Obama said in a speech in 2011 at the 10th anniversary of 9/11, he stated that even the smallest act of service, the simplest of kindness, is a way to honor those we lost, a way to reclaim the spirit of unity that followed 9/11. It's also that spirit for those of us who have taken on the burden of public lives that we return here every year to also rededicate ourselves to public service, to our community, to ensure that Delco forever remains Delco strong. Every act of kindness, every act of compassion that we take is repaid many times over, and we can never forget the people who we help serve, we protect, and who make our lives richer as well. So while that spirit is nowhere more evident than that of the people who work on behalf of the public, it also is characteristic of our county. We remain grateful and indebted to all the people in our county who respond not only to events like 9/11, but who make our lives better on a daily basis.